还退婚不退彩礼，未婚夫多次索要无果，愤怒上门泼硫酸。
A girl called off her marriage but refused to return the betrothal gifts. Her fiancé repeatedly asked for them back, but to no avail. In a fit of rage, he went to her house and threw sulfuric acid, even saying he no longer wanted the betrothal money, telling her to use it for plastic surgery. Here's what happened. In Hunan, a man and a woman were introduced to each other by a matchmaker. After their first meeting, they both felt satisfied with each other. After meeting several more times, the woman took the initiative to suggest getting engaged first and then married. The man, being older, was very eager and readily agreed to her proposal. However, before the engagement, the woman put forward a condition. She required a betrothal gift of 100,000 yuan. This request made the man's father uneasy. Although he had expected that the woman's family would ask for a betrothal gift, he didn't anticipate the amount to be so high. In the end, the man's family managed to gather the money, even borrowing a large sum, and handed it over to the woman's family. Just as the man was joyfully preparing for the wedding, eagerly anticipating a future together, he suddenly received a text message. The message was a devastating blow. It stated that the woman no longer wanted to marry him and hoped he would find someone else. From then on, the man could no longer reach her. In desperation, he went to the woman's house to inquire about the reason. However, the woman's family told him that she had gone to work in another city and confessed that the woman didn't actually like him. The engagement had only been a way to appease her parents. Faced with this situation, the man felt that since the marriage was no longer going to happen, the betrothal gift should be returned. However, the woman's family was extremely uncooperative. They firmly stated that the betrothal money was the daughter's business and that they had no right to return it. They even suggested that the man go look for her himself. Knowing that the woman had already left for another city, the man had no way of finding her. He visited the woman's family multiple times, but still received no result. During this time, the woman's family, seeing the man's persistence, reluctantly offered to return 4,000 yuan as compensation, but this was an immense insult to the man, and he flatly rejected the offer. As time passed, the man's mental state completely collapsed. He felt that since the woman's family refused to return the money and he was powerless to resolve the issue, he would take revenge in an extreme way. In a fit of rage, he bought a bottle of sulfuric acid and waited at the woman's house. One day, when the woman's brother came out, he seized the opportunity to throw the acid on him and even forced the remaining acid into his mouth, causing him to lose his eyesight and suffer severe burns to his esophagus. The man now has to rely on intravenous nutrition for the rest of his life. The medical expenses for this incident have reportedly exceeded 500,000 yuan. This tragic event is heartbreaking. The woman's family, in their greed for the betrothal gifts, caused a horrific outcome. Meanwhile, the man, driven by impulse, took extreme measures that not only ruined another person's life but also destroyed his own future. Now, the woman's family is burdened with heavy medical bills, and the perpetrator faces severe legal consequences. The outcome of this incident is a double tragedy, and it serves as a painful reminder for all of us to reflect on the consequences of such actions.
湖南邵阳发生的，躺在病床上的不是黑人。
Recently, a real incident happened in Shaoyang, Hunan. The person lying on the hospital bed is the younger brother of the girl. The detailed events unfolded as follows. The man, Lei Ming, and the woman, Luo Sanmei, were introduced to each other by a third party. Both were not young anymore, and after meeting a few times they agreed to get married. Luo Sanmei's family was financially struggling, and she had a younger brother, so they were very short of money. She asked Lei Ming for a dowry of 100,000 yuan. Lei Ming's family didn't have much money either, so they borrowed a lot from relatives and friends, scraping together just enough for the dowry. Initially, the two planned to get married, but then Luo Sanmei suddenly changed her mind and went to work in another city, completely ignoring Lei Ming. Lei Ming was initially confused, wondering if he had done something wrong. He reached out to her via WeChat. However, every time, Luo Sanmei came up with various excuses asking for money, for things like phone bills or other purchases, and she didn't stop. Lei Ming, soft-hearted, lent her money whenever she asked, eventually accumulating a significant amount of debt. He borrowed from all his relatives and even took out loans from the bank. As time passed, the end of the year came, and Lei Ming's long-awaited wedding didn't happen. Instead, he received a message from Luo Sanmei saying that the two of them weren't suited for each other and that they should break up. Lei Ming was both angry and confused. He decided to find her and ask why she had suddenly broken up with him, but Luo Sanmei never showed up. Eventually she blocked his number. When Lei Ming contacted her family, they claimed they didn't know where Luo Sanmei had gone and told him to solve it on his own. Lei Ming felt helpless but still held on to the idea that although they had been engaged, they hadn't actually gotten married. Therefore, the dowry should be returned to him. He went to Luo Sanmei's family again, but they insisted that the dowry had already been paid and could not be refunded. They argued that doing so would make them the laughingstock of the neighborhood. After Lei Ming's repeated insistence, Luo Sanmei's parents reluctantly agreed to return 4,000 yuan of the dowry, but they refused to return the rest. This made Lei Ming furious, feeling like he had been deceived. His mood became increasingly irritable. In his extreme anger he bought sulfuric acid, intending to wait for Luo Sanmei to return home. However, to his surprise, instead of Luo Sanmei returning, it was her younger brother who came home. In a fit of rage, Lei Ming threw sulfuric acid at him and even forced him to swallow the remaining acid, which caused Luo Sanmei's mother and sister to be affected while trying to stop him, and all three suffered varying degrees of burns. The situation escalated quickly, and Lei Ming, in his extreme emotional state, made an irreversible decision. The aftermath of this incident is tragic. Luo Sanmei, due to her excessive greed for the dowry, indirectly caused this disaster. And Lei Ming, having acted impulsively, not only destroyed others' lives but also ruined his own life. Now, Luo Sanmei's family faces huge medical bills, and Lei Ming will face severe legal consequences. No matter how you look at it, this incident is a tragic case of mutual destruction. The only question now is how many years of imprisonment Lei Ming will receive.
骗彩礼这个事儿真的是越来越多了。
In recent years, incidents of fraud involving bride price have been increasing, and similar reports can be seen in the news almost every day. The common pattern of these incidents is that the woman demands to cancel the marriage after receiving the bride price from the man, often with the excuse of thinking it through and no longer wanting to get married. Even more extreme, some people choose to divorce shortly after marriage, sometimes in less than a month, citing reasons such as incompatible personalities or different living habits, and disappear with the bride price. This phenomenon is particularly prominent in some rural areas, such as in Hunan, Shandong, and other regions. This is not just hearsay. There is a large body of evidence to support it. Why are there so many such incidents? The main reason is that this behavior carries almost no legal risk, while the reward is very high. Imagine, if you are a woman, you can easily receive hundreds of thousands of yuan in bride price in one go, and there are no clear legal penalties for this. Isn't that highly tempting? The woman can easily cite reasons like incompatible values or marriage incompatibility as grounds for divorce. The law grants both spouses the right to choose to divorce, and no one can take away this right. At that point, even if the man is furious, there is nothing he can do, because the law allows divorce. If someone directly stole 300,000 yuan from you, you could call the police, and they would immediately intervene to recover the money. However, bride price is different. This money is voluntarily given by the man, and does not fall under the categories of robbery or fraud. Even if the man feels deceived, he can only file a lawsuit in court to try to recover the bride price. However, this is not an easy process. From filing the lawsuit to applying for enforcement, it usually involves a long legal procedure. Even if the court rules in favor of the man and orders the return of the bride price, the woman can claim she has no ability to repay, or even say that the money has already been spent, making the enforcement process extremely difficult. In fact, applying for enforcement is not as simple as it seems. It often requires a lengthy battle, sometimes lasting a year or even longer. During this time, the man not only has to invest a large amount of time and effort, but also faces immense financial and mental pressure. In such circumstances, many people choose to give up, ultimately allowing the woman to walk away unscathed. Some of you may remember the widely discussed case of a man recovering his bride price online. Although he successfully applied for enforcement through legal channels, this is a rare success story among very few cases. That's why it made the news. In the end, he recovered most of the bride price, but the process was full of hardships, and there were even parts of the money that could not be recovered. This shows that even if one wins the lawsuit, it is not guaranteed that all losses will be recouped. At present, the law does not clearly prohibit divorce, nor does it require the return of the bride price during a divorce. As a result, some people take advantage of the legal loopholes. What is needed is for relevant authorities to implement more specific policies and laws to effectively regulate and combat bride price fraud. By targeting typical cases, increasing the severity of punishments, and widely publicizing them, deterrence can be created for those with ill intentions. For example, it could be clearly stated that if the woman has not fulfilled her marital duties, the bride price should be returned unconditionally at the time of divorce. From another perspective, the issue of bride price is particularly prominent in rural areas because of traditional values and customs. In rural areas, the bride price is often not just a symbol of marriage, but more like a transaction, and can even be seen as a form of buying and selling marriage. In some areas, the man and woman may never have met, and there is no emotional foundation. The families simply agree on the amount of bride price and quickly arrange for the marriage. In such cases, the marriage is doomed to lack stability and is more prone to disputes. In contrast, marriage concepts in urban areas are more modern. Most people date for a long period before marriage and discuss the bride price after they have spent considerable time together. In cities, the bride price is more of a formality and not the core element that determines the marriage. Therefore, disputes over bride price are relatively rare in urban areas. The essence of the bride price problem in rural areas is the materialization of marriage. The parties involved have not established an emotional foundation and rely solely on money to facilitate the marriage, which inevitably lays the groundwork for future conflicts. Therefore, solving the bride price issue requires not only legal intervention, but also a change in traditional marriage concepts. Through education and guidance, people need to gradually realize that the essence of marriage is the union of two people, not a transaction. Only then can the occurrence of bride price fraud be fundamentally curbed.
天价彩礼为什么屡禁不止？
Why the high bride price continues to persist despite multiple efforts to abolish it. The issue of exorbitant bride prices has been a hot topic for many years. As society develops and the economy changes, the amount of bride price has been rising steadily. In some regions, the bride price has even reached astronomical figures. Despite repeated calls from authorities and some individuals to curb or reduce the high bride price, this problem still remains unresolved. So, why does this issue persist? Today, I will unveil the reasons behind this phenomenon. First of all, the marriage rate and birth rate have been declining in recent years. This is closely related to the high bride price. Think about it. A high bride price undoubtedly makes many people hesitant to marry. Even if they wish to get married, they may have to give up the idea because they cannot afford the huge bride price. Without marriage, many people naturally do not have children. If we could cancel the high bride price and reduce the financial pressure, couples could easily marry. Once married, having children would become a natural next step. Therefore, the existence of an exorbitant bride price directly affects the marriage and birth rates. Although many parties have been actively calling for limiting or abolishing the high bride price, there has been little progress after years of efforts. Why is that? I believe there are two main reasons behind it. The first reason is the widespread nature of the high bride price. What do we mean by widespread nature? This means that this phenomenon is not limited to a specific province or region but is common in many places. For instance, one province has it, and so does another. It even exists in both urban and rural areas. The widespread nature itself makes it very difficult to change, because most people tend to follow the crowd. Think about it. When the bride price rises in one region, other families follow suit and start to increase their own bride price, often in a competitive manner. Everyone wants their child's wedding to have a bride price that's at least equal to that of others. Especially in families with boys, there's a desire to abolish the bride price, while families with girls tend to favor retaining or increasing the bride price. This creates a conflict between two opposing mindsets. With each side having different needs and positions, no one is willing to compromise, and this ultimately makes it difficult to change the situation. The second reason is people's tendency to compare. Everyone has the desire to outdo others. If the daughter of another family receives an astronomical bride price, naturally, when it's time for your daughter to marry, you'll worry that your daughter will be looked down upon, creating the mindset of, my daughter cannot be worse than others. This mindset, to some extent, fuels the continuous rise of the bride price. Therefore, the exorbitant bride price is not only a widespread issue, but it is also exacerbated by this competitive mentality, making it even harder to manage and restrict. Given this situation, is there any way to immediately solve the problem? Some might ask, is there no more direct way to tackle this issue? If you were to ask me, I believe the issue could be resolved quickly through legislation. If we could pass laws that explicitly limit or outright prohibit exorbitant bride prices, the problem would be effectively curbed. Moral persuasion and verbal appeals often fail to produce substantial results. Only through legal measures can we ensure that people adhere to the regulations. If, after the legislation, excessive bride price demands are met with severe penalties, these practices will soon be suppressed. Therefore, the only solution is to implement legislation to enforce compliance, rather than relying solely on moral advocacy.
Why does the country insist on addressing the issue of exorbitant bride prices? In recent years, bride prices have not only placed a huge economic burden on marriages, but have also led to numerous social conflicts and legal disputes. To help everyone better understand the series of problems caused by high bride prices, I will share some shocking data. Since 2014, civil disputes triggered by bride prices have reached about 180,000 cases. Among them, over 100,000 cases originated from the refusal of the woman to return the bride price. Additionally, there have been more than 8,000 criminal cases caused by bride prices. In these criminal cases, over 4,000 cases involve endangering public safety, with about 400 cases suspected of intentional injury. Moreover, in recent years, there has been an increasing trend of marriage fraud cases related to bride prices. According to incomplete statistics, around 5,000 marriage fraud cases have been recorded, a number that is truly alarming. Among these cases, serious disputes, such as severe conflict cases caused by bride prices, and vicious incidents like acid attacks triggered by bride prices, are all invariably linked to exorbitant bride prices. The social impact of these cases is significant, and many people have paid a heavy price as a result. However, while we focus on these severe consequences, there is a noteworthy phenomenon. Despite the high number of disputes and cases triggered by bride prices in the past, these numbers are gradually decreasing. This trend is closely related to the rapid decline in marriage rates in recent years. The decline in marriage rates has directly led to a new low in China's birth rate. In any case, addressing exorbitant bride prices, advocating for marriages based on love and respect rather than as a transaction between two families, can not only reduce social conflicts, but also help create a healthier and more equal marriage culture, which could also increase the birth rate. What other harms do you think exorbitant bride prices may cause? Feel free to leave your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide you with better programs. Thank you once again for watching, and see you next time.